G'day Archie crew, hope you're having a fantastic day today and your family's happy and healthy. Right, I've been getting a ton of questions about graphics settings again, and whether or not I've changed my graphics settings from the last video that I did. The answer to that question is yes, I have, and so should you. Whenever there's an update or whatever to the game or patch, you should always check that your graphics settings are giving you the best possible result. And as you can see, my graphics are pretty damn good, and the performance of the game is pretty damn good as well. I do still get stutters here and there. It's just part of this game. It's such a large scale map, etc, that you will always get stutters no matter what. Although with the 1.55 update that's coming out, apparently that will fix quite a lot of that, and from my testing I have to agree, that that's true. I don't normally drive outside the truck like this, but I'm trying to do this to give you an idea of what my graphics are like. As you can see, the reflections on the truck are extremely good. The graphics and detail are very good. I hope this is transferring into the video so you can see exactly how good the graphics really are. So what we'll do is we'll just go for a bit more of a drive so you can get a feel for what my graphics are like, and see if it's something that you'd want for your game, or so that your game looks this good. And what we'll do then is we'll go into the in-game graphics first. Normally I do it the other way around, where I change the stuff in the config file, but I'm going to start with in-game graphics because that's where I've done quite a few different changes to my last setup, and then we'll go from there, from the in-game settings to adjustments in the actual config file itself and how to do that. But like I say, as you can see, the graphics are quite good. Very clear. Let's jump into the cab so you can see inside the cab as well. Extremely good. Very clear. Plenty of detail. The problem with this truck that I'm driving, the Hater built, it tends to blow out the image off through the windscreen. It tends to be too bright. So it's, with other trucks it's not the same as this. Oops, better put it in gear, eh?
Exit now.
Anyway, you get an idea. Alright, so let's do what I said. We'll pull over somewhere. Just up here will do. And then we'll go into the in-game settings and show you how to get the best possible graphics for your game. Alright, let's do that. Okay, I'm actually in a server at the moment, dedicated server, so if we get people talking in the background, I apologise for that. Right, so yes, options and display. Now, the first thing you've got to remember is that a lot of these things are your own personal preference, so therefore that's up to you. I'm just going to give you a baseline so you've got somewhere to start, and you can go from there and adjust your settings as you want. But again, this is what I use. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the best for you. And again, I reiterate, play with your own settings and see what is best for you. But I'll give you a few different scenarios and what adjustments you'll need to make with that. For example, if you're using triples, doubles, or single screens, what's the best settings? So to start with, ignore the brightness in the game because it doesn't do anything. At least it doesn't do anything for me. No matter what I put the brightness on, it doesn't change a thing. Alright, so forget that. That setting's useless. I don't know why they've even got it in there if it doesn't do anything. That's been like that for years. One day they may eventually get around to fixing it. I use full screen mode. Again, your preference, but full screen I've seem to find works best for me. As far as resolution goes, now this is where it's important to remember if you're using triple screens, double screens, or single screen, you'll need to adjust your resolution to that. I use single screen, even though I have 5 screens that I can use. I only use single screen at the moment because of all the recording and the live streaming that I do and the testing, etc., etc. So I use single. But if you're using a double or a triple, make sure you're using the resolution that suits those doubles and those triples, because if you're not, then you're going to have problems. Then what you need to do is find out what the refresh rate of your monitors is, and set it to the maximum under refresh rate. Mine is 144 Hertz for the screen that I'm on here. If you've got doubles, you'll probably find that your graphics card hardware will set it to a average refresh rate. Find out what that average refresh rate is through your GPU's hardware, software. It will tell you, and then you'll set it to that. In most cases, it normally is 60 Hertz. Doubles the same with triples. It's normally 60, unless, of course, you've got monitors that are all, say, 200 Hertz or something like that. Then it will probably be 200 Hertz if they're all matching. But in most cases, people have 3 or 4 different monitors that have 3 or 4 different refresh rates, and it normally picks the lowest refresh rate in the bunch. So if you've got 2 that are 144 and 1 that's 60, you'll normally find that your refresh rate will be 60. So just be warned that you need to check that and find out what your refresh rate is if you're using doubles or triples, and set it accordingly. Vertical synchronization, I have that on, and what that basically does is it matches the frame rate of your monitor's refresh rate to prevent screen tearing. I use it. Some people don't because their actual GPUs are sufficient. Mine isn't, so I use it on the game. So the frames per second, I normally match that to my refresh rate, so 144 Hertz, 144 frames per second. And then the frame per second limit in background, I set at 30, because all that is when you're in your menu or anything like that, it just brings it down to 30 frames per second so that your GPU is not working overtime. Now, in my last graphics video, I had this set at the scaling set at 400%. I've since then dropped it down to 300 and found that it performs a lot better. I mean, it still performed quite good, but I found that by dropping it down to 300, that basically got rid of all the stuttering. Now, if you're using doubles or triples, you probably find that 200 will be better, or maybe 150, or maybe 100. Again, that's something you'll have to adjust according to how many monitors you're running. But I've found that on my single monitor in my system, 300% is great without causing too much stuttering. I try to go to the maximum I can without causing too much stuttering. So again, if it's 200 for you, then it's 200. If it's 100, then it's 100. But if you drop it any lower than 100, you will find that your graphics won't look very good at all. So just remember that with triples or doubles, you might be down to 200 or 150. Then my anti-aliasing setup, I go for SMAA and TAA combined. And I used to have this set to always sharp, but I now use adaptive clarity. Okay, and what it says about adaptive clarity is it dynamically disables a TAA jitter when the camera is static. So I found that my graphics looks best at adaptive clarity now with all the updates and patches that we've had. It used to be on always sharp, and it used to be at 1, but now I've got it at 2, and it works fine. Again, this setting here, you may need to adjust for your preference, but I find that all the way up at 2 is the best for what I want. It's not over sharp, basically because this adaptive clarity takes over and fixes that. As for texture quality, you've got the choice of low, medium and high. I go for high because I want the best texture quality I can get. Anisotropic filtering 16 times. Normal maps, I have that turned off. What that says is, what it does is it adds appearance of geometric detail to pavements, roads and other objects to improve the appearance. I find the appearance of those particular objects is fine. By putting this on, it does give you a bit of a hit for your performance, so I take that off. But again, If you find it doesn't hit your performance, leave it on. It's up to you. The setting is definitely something that you can test. And if you find that it's best off or on, then that's the setting you choose. Reflection scaling, I have that at custom because I adjust it in the actual config file, not in here. So that's why it says custom. You have all these settings here, but again, I use custom setting, and it seems to work fine in the config file. Reflection detail, I have that set to high. Mirror quality, I have it medium because your mirrors actually really do impact on your performance of your game, and I've found that either low or medium is best for me. You may find that high is fine. If you're getting some stuttering or low frame rates, adjust that accordingly to either medium or low, and you'll probably find that your game will run a lot better. Mirror resolution, I have it high. It's again, you've got low, medium or high. Again, play around with these settings to find out which is best for you, but for me, medium high quality, high resolution and high mirror distance, meaning that you can see things further off in the distance in your mirrors by setting it to high. Shadow quality I've set to ultra because I've found that if I have it any lower, the shadows look really murky and jaggedy. So I set it to ultra to give me the best quality for the shadows, but I've turned far shadows and interior shadows off because my game, for some reason, it may have been a mod that was doing it, I don't know, but if I turned these on, I had massive big shadows following my truck. It's hard to explain, but you can imagine a dark shadow following you everywhere. That's what I was getting when I had these turned on, so I've turned them both off, and also it helps the performance as well by turning these off. But I don't notice any major difference by turning these off as far as visuals, but I do as far as performance goes. So again, this is your choice. Test it with them on, test them with them off, and see which one you prefer. So that's my settings. Okay, SSAO or SAO, Screen Space Ambient Occlusion. I have that turned to high. You have disabled low, medium or high. What that does is it adds shadows to crevices and objects that are close proximity to one another, improving perceived graphical fidelity, meaning clarity. It gives you better clarity where things are in dark shadow. So I've got that at high because I like clarity in my game so I can see things and define what is there. Right, lighting visibility range, I have that set to high. Again, you have all these settings. Again, play with them if you find you're getting a performance impact and adjust that accordingly. I have traffic headlights turned on. That enables illumination from headlights of other vehicles. Secondary vehicle lights enables illumination for secondary lights of other vehicles to traffic, such as indicators and brakes. I have that turned off because I found that it also impacted the performance, and it's not really that necessary because you'll see these indicators anyway when they're up close, like in front of you or whatever. I turn that off and I find that it improves the performance. Post-processing, depth of field, have that turned off. Don't feel that there's a need for that at all. Sun shafts, again, these are preferred settings, whatever you want to put it on. I have sun shafts on. Normally I have color correction off. I don't know why it's on this profile. Let's turn it off and we'll see when we get out. Like I say, normally I have that turned off because when enabled, colors of the game are dynamically adjusted for aesthetic reasons. Scenes will better match the time of day and weather conditions. Colors of vehicles and other objects may be more vibrant. I'm definitely turning it off because I've got the red and black paint skin on my trucks now, and the red seems to be over vibrant, and that's why I normally have this turned off. And like I say, I don't know why it was turned on. I must have clicked it by accident. Again, vegetation detail, I have that high. Grass density, I have that high. Weather quality, I have that ultra. And pedestrians, I have that turned on. Now that's all the graphical settings, and again, most of them are for your preference, and you should test each one to see what sort of performance you're getting. So in other words, set your setting, go back in the game, check your frames per second, check the performance, see if it's stuttering, and adjust accordingly. Go to your next setting, do the same thing. Trial and error. I know it sounds laborious, but that's the way to get your graphics the best that you can get. So again, these are all the settings that I use. They may not be the settings that you need to use, but it's a good place to start. And the most important things to remember: make sure you've got the resolution set to either your doubles or triples if you're using them, or your single. And then your hertz and your frames per second are set accordingly. Start with 300%, but if you're on doubles or triples, I would start with 200% and maybe try 300 and see what happens. But I'm guaranteeing you that probably 200 or 150 will be the best for doubles or triples. And yeah, don't worry too much about reflection scaling at the moment. All the other settings are basically to your flavor. Make sure when you've done your settings, you click apply. All right, most importantly, because if you don't click apply, your settings will go back to the way they were. Right, so that's the in-game settings. Now let's pop out and have a quick look at the truck outside and see what the red looks like. Yeah, no, that's better. The red's not overpowering now. Before it was just so red, it just looked ridiculous. But now with that color correction off, the colors are quite good. All right, now we'll go and have a look at the config file. The most important thing to remember is when you're doing anything in your config file, you must have the game switched off. Because if it's on, what will happen is that you'll change all your settings in your config file, but they won't take effect because of the simple fact that the game's running, and when it shuts down, it overwrites the config file each time it shuts down with the settings that are already in the game. So make sure it's turned off before you do anything, and then go to your config file. Now, important things to remember with a config file is that you can, no matter what happens, even if you stuff it up completely, you can delete it and the game will create a brand new fresh one for you. Or alternatively, what you can do to be really on the safe side is take a copy of it and place it somewhere else in your documents or something like that, like so, and just paste and drop the config file in there. Now you know there's a copy of your config file there, so if you do anything wrong, that you can go back and grab that and paste it back in here. So you've made a backup copy of your config. Always do that no matter what you're changing. If there's any other files you're changing, always make a backup, and that way you can come back and replace the broken one if need be. So now you need to open it. Now there's a few different ways to open your config file. The first one is to just click on it, and it will normally just open straight up in Notepad, and you can get to it. The second one is to right click on it and then click open. All right, and the same thing happens. The next one is right click on it and you can go open with and choose Notepad. The fourth one, or was that the second one? Anyway, whatever. The next one, you can actually just go to Notepad itself. Down the bottom here, I've got Notepad on my taskbar, but wherever yours is, open it, Notepad up yourself, then go up to File and Open, and then search for the config file yourself. Oh, yeah, you've got to change it from text file to all files, and then you've stuffed up itself. So yeah, make sure you've got all files selected, and then find your config file, open, and it will open for you. All right, so I'm just going to double click on mine and open it up. So one of the first things you need to do is you need to find your first setting, which will be your buffer size. Your buffer size basically increases the size of the computer's buffer that stores information. So it basically it preloads information into your memory, so therefore the game runs smoother, if you know what I mean. So it's loading more memory into your, or more information into your memory, so that then from there your computer takes longer before it needs to read more information. And the longer it takes to read more information is giving it more time to load more information, if you know what I mean. So you'll find your buffer, and what I do to do that is I go up here, click find, type in buffer, find next. And you can see there's buffer there. Whoops, let's do that. There's buffer page size there. And what you'll do, as you can see, I have mine at 250. I'm experimenting with a different setting here, but you'll find that your buffer size will be 10. Now, a lot of people are debating that buffer size, if you put it any higher than 30, it's basically diminishing returns. You're not going to get any benefit of increasing your buffer size any more than 30. Now, I've been experimenting with various different buffer sizes, and I've found that 30 works fine with some systems. Some systems it doesn't improve any at all. So therefore 50 can be even better for those systems, or 20 can be better. You get what I'm saying here. You need to play with this and find out which one's the best for you. I've currently got mine at 250. I've had it at 250 for ages, and I find that it is excellent at 250. But I get a lot of people hating on me, saying it's ridiculous. 250 is way too high. You only need 30. Well, I've had it at 30, and I get stutters and buffering, and it just drives me mad. I put it at 50, and it improved. I put it at 250, and it improved even more. That's my experience, and I'm only going by my experience. So the choice is yours. You can start, like I say, it will be 10 for you. You can start at 20, try it, and go to 30, try it, take it to 50, try it, etc., etc. But either way, you need to increase your buffer size because it's at 10. So I would increase it either to 20 or 30 to start with, see how you go, and take it from there. Right, then the next setting you need to change is your light span factor. So we'll just type in light and find that. Light flares, but light span factor. Okay, whoops, keep doing that. Light span factor, down here. This one here is what you need to change. Light span factor, you want to change it from 1 to 3. Where is it? Hang on. Let me think it. Yes, 1 to 3. Now, this one, for some reason, has gone back to 1. We're going to change it to 3. And that's what you need to do. You need to change light span factor to 3. Now, I have so many different profiles. I sometimes forget to change all my settings in my config, and therefore that's why that hadn't changed. So light span factor, change it to 3. And what light span factor does is it increases the radius of a light at night, is the best way to describe. And with my testing, is that light span factor increases the radius of the light, meaning that if, for example, it's nighttime and you've got a street light and it has a beam coming from it that is, say, 3 inches round, like increasing this, it will make it 5 or 6 inches round so that you've got more light at night so you can see more things. That's the easiest way to explain what light span factor is. So that's the next one you change from 1 to 3. I'll have all these settings in the description so that you don't have to remember them. Okay, so then there's another one, the light distance factor, which is right underneath it. And you want to change that from 1 to 4. And again, for some reason, this one's not changed because I don't think I've driven much at night with this one. So that's probably why I haven't changed it. But again, light distance factor from 1 to 4. So that's changing the distance before the street lights are visible at night. Now, I don't know if you've experienced this, but when you're driving at night, you can be driving along a straight road, and if you look in the distance, you see lights popping on all of a sudden. And to me, that's ridiculous because that's not what happens in real life. When you look down the road, the lights are already on, street lights or whatever. They don't just pop on as you get closer to them. They're already there. We're changing this from 1 to 4. It increases the distance before those lights pop on, and therefore when you're driving along, it's a smoother experience and more realistic where the lights are already on as you're getting towards them. So you're changing that from 1 to 4, and that will increase that for you. Then the next one is your reflection scale. Now the reflection scale basically is, let me do this. Can't find it, of course not, because I put a capital R. Nope. finding it. Why not? Did I spell it wrong? What if I do this? Oh, of course I did. Reflection. Try that. That's better. Okay, so reflection scale is what you're looking for, not reflection rain. You're looking for reflection scale, which is that one there. Let me drag it up so you can see. Now, what you want to do, that will be 1 when you come to it. You want to change that to 3. Okay, so reflection scale 3 instead of 1. Now, what that does is it increases the shine of paint and chrome. By doing that, as you notice when you saw my truck in the game, you've got quite high reflections, makes the truck look shiny and new. Any chrome, you can see that it reflects. I'll go back in the game once we've done this and show you how shiny and reflective the chrome and the paintwork is. It looks really good. So you don't have to change this. This is just another preferred setting. I do it because I like to see the paintwork shining and I like to see the chrome shining, and that does that. So changing from 1 to 3 makes it even more shinier. All right. And then the last one that will change in the config is actually the window length. Okay. So window, we'll just type in window. Window length is what we're after, not window duration. Window length, there it is there. Right at the bottom. Okay. So what you're going to be doing here is you're going to change from I think it's 20 when you go into it, and you're going to change it from either 20 to 60 or 120 or 240 or whatever. Okay, and again, it's for your desired effect. Now, window duration, I'll leave a link that explains what window duration does because it's quite lengthy. Sorry, window length, not window duration. I'm looking at the word. I'll leave a link that explains what window length does in the description, because there's a forum post on it that explains it way better than I could, and it goes into it in detail. But hence to say that it at 20, which it normally is, I think, when you first go to it, you'll have performance problems. Window length at 60, 120 or 240, what they normally say with window length is to change it to double what your refresh rate is. So I've got 144 hertz. So my double that would be 288, but I've just put it at 240 because I feel more comfortable doing it at 240. If it's 60, you would put it at 120. But again, this is something that you have to test yourself and see which one is best for you. But I find that 240 is the best for my setting, and that's what I leave it at. But again, I'll leave a link explaining what window length does in the description so you can better understand that. So yes, that's all the settings in config. Now, once you've done that in your config file, make sure you go up to file and you click save. You won't have any problems, because if you go to close it and you haven't saved it, we'll ask if you want to save it. But always, I go here first, I click save to make sure that the settings that I've done have been saved, and then I'll close it. Now again, you've got to make sure the game is closed down before you do any of that, because if you don't, when you go back into the game, none of these will take effect. All right, so make sure that the game's closed down before you do any of that. Now, once you've done that, you can jump back in the game. So we'll go back to the game and we'll check out, because I have done a few extra settings, and this way we can just double check things. Okay, so here we are back in the game, and you may not notice major changes at the moment because it's during the day. So many of the changes that I did in the config file were for nighttime. But as you can see here, if you look at the paintwork on the truck and the shine that you're getting in the chrome work down the bottom there, or on the rims, you can see just how shiny and reflective everything is. well, at least I can. I don't know if this is translating through to the video. I'm hoping that it is, so that you can get an idea of what it's like. But you can see on the window the reflections of the trees, etc. Now let's jump in the truck. In the truck, everything's looking nice and crisp and clean and very dynamic and very there's plenty of clarity to it, is what I'm trying to say. So as you can see, graphics are fantastic. I couldn't be happier with them. I think I have my actual monitor turned up a little bit high on its brightness at the moment, so it may come through a bit brighter than what it should be. Let me know in the comments below what you think anyway.
Ready to
Whether
roll?
you think graphics are great or garbage. I mean, I really would like your opinion, because I'm not sure what you guys are seeing when you see my videos. I can only go on what my monitor shows, but to me the graphics are fantastic, and that looks great on my monitor.
Go straight on. That's right.
Still think that red's a little bit over the top, but that was the whole idea. I wanted it to be over the top so people would notice it. Alright, so yes, that is how you can set up your graphics and make them better and get better performance too at the same time, which is sort of a contradiction in terms with games, because most of the time when you improve the graphics, the performance takes a hit, and therefore the game runs slower or starts to stutter. But I've found with those settings that the game actually runs smoother and the graphics look better. So like I say, contradiction in terms, but it works, and that's the main thing. Can't explain it and don't want to, because it works. But as you can see, yes, in my situation, those graphic settings work great for me. Again, try it and see. If they're not working great for you, adjust until they are, and then you'll find that you'll have a great game that looks great and performs great. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that, people. If you did, please subscribe. If you haven't already, it's free, you might as well. And maybe hit the notification bell. Also, if you want to support my channel and help me create more content like this for you guys, just there's links in the description below, and there's links in the comments as well, I think. And yeah, it'd be great if you did. So hopefully you did enjoy it, and if you did, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.